I've got bills to pay and my home's a rental. Dealing with a problem that's monumental. Gotta need both sides if you wanna make some bread. So take your opinions and stuff them down. Print bumper stickers to sell in town. Why take a stand when you could take the cash instead? Working 4 to 10, turning both sides against the middle. Working 4 to 10, who cares if it's hypocritical? Working 4 to 10, late shift never felt so shifty. Working 4 to 10, but the cash is sorta nifty.
Hello, and welcome back to the NCTV podcast. This is where a local actor and animator discuss various TV programs that take place within the lovely state of North Carolina. I am one of your hosts, Joseph.
And I am Kelsey.
I want to welcome you back to listening to this episode. What are we discussing today, Kelsey?
Well, we are discussing Bless the Harts, animated show from Fox, Season 1, Episode 3, Jenny Unfiltered.
Got around to watching because I procrastinate quite a lot. So that's why this episode is coming after the One Tree Hill episode.
And we had a misunderstanding about the order. So we did this, and I guess the next episode we record might be Megalo Memories. Lydia, oh Lydia, the tattoo lady.
And she will braid your hair.
So, shall we get into the episode?
Yeah. This episode is about Jenny once again trying to balance her moral compass, kind of like you saw in the pilot when she was working at Bud's Exotic Dance House, which is what I'm going to call it.
Dolls and drive-through.
And drive-through, surprisingly.
Up I-95.
On I-95. But it's about, once again, her trying to balance her moral compass and trying to, still provide for her family while also trying to do what she believes is the right thing. It's kind of following that same theme from the pilot. And you get an interesting B plot or side story with Violet, David, not Brandon. Kind of got those names mixed up. And Betty, kind of going more into Betty's past and kind of more of the insane people in Greenpoint. And we get a lovely cameo by a Disney Pixar star. Ooh, who could it be? I don't know before the episode started, listener, so you know exactly who it is.
I feel like we should put up a cork board and play like 6 degrees of Pixar and start connecting different actors and crew members from Pixar to different shows that we watch.
Because I'm trying to think like if I fall within the 6 degrees mark, because you and I both met people from GalaxyCon, so they could easily like connect with. Oh, I just realized I'm like 2 degrees away from Susan Sarandon.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, because I met Meatloaf, and Meatloaf was in Rocky Horror with Susan Sarandon.
Is it weird that I'm still kind of into the sequel shock treatment, even though I know her character is played by someone else, but I kind of like the steady progression of like their arc after, where like the ambiguous ending of Rocky Horror was this whole sexcapade night good or bad for them, and the sequel's like, no, it wasn't. It actually screwed them up a lot.
But did they say it really happened, or are they saying it really didn't?
Oh, it totally happened. I mean, they got married like they planned to. They tried to pretend everything was normal, and they tried to double down on this picture-perfect apple pie American lifestyle that they've been sold in their town, and it just didn't work, and their marriage is fracturing. They're freaking out. Brad is apparently not living up to Janet's standards of being a man because her dad is a super patriarchal. I don't know. He sings a song about "I'm so glad I'm a man and I get to mow my lawn and smoke a corn cob pipe and dress like General Patton."
So he's like Dan, essentially.
Oh my gosh, yes, on steroids. Like, oh my gosh. And he and Janet go on this game show to try and fix their marriage, but through manipulative editing, she's convinced, oh my gosh, you're such an embarrassment. I'm sick of being humiliated by you.
Don't they go to
so the news station has a mental hospital, yes. And she sent him to get shock treatment. And it's like a whole song that I love where they're singing to various appliances from the 80s asking, why in the world are we having this fight? It's like, dear blender, oh, won't you help a first offender? Oh, trash can, defibrillator, why are we always sooner or later? Bitching in the kitchen or crying in the bedroom all night. I will bleep it, don't worry.
No, you're fine. But yeah, I'm 2 degrees away from Susan Sarandon. It's always nice.
Super nice.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to think if I'm in within 6 degrees of somebody else from Bless the Hearts.
I eventually want to work with like the entire cast in one way or another. Just 1 year I want to work at the studio. And it's like, hi, you don't know me. I'm just a fan of the work. Could I get your autograph?
And if the Bless the Hearts team is listening, can we get an autograph from the whole team? Because everybody, cast, crew, that'd be cool. Or be on the show, that'd be also just as cool.
It would be. At this rate, we'd probably, in order to get it, we'd probably have to bid on one of those charity streams.
I'm looking at you, Maya Rudolph and Ike Barinholtz. Don't.
To me, right now he's Wayne. That's his better role than the jerk warden from Suicide Squad.
Well, he was good in Sisters with Amy Poehler.
I actually haven't seen that.
It's a solid movie. Which also stars Maya Rudolph. Bringing it back around.
And Tina Fey.
Can't go wrong with Tina Fey.
Absolutely not. So I guess we should start with the episode. Keep going off topic. The cold opening of the episode, it's actually one of those, I'm not going to say it's the money shot, but it's one of the openings that they keep reusing for several promotional segments of the show, where like Wayne and Jenny are trying to watch TV, and it establishes that the household appliances aren't
everything's falling apart.
100% functional, but the family works with quirks. They have to figure out how much buzz you have to click through to get the TV to work, and it's like you have to click through 8 channels. It's like Betty and Jenny know how many, but Wayne can never remember.
I don't think I've had that problem, TV-wise.
Neither have I.
I'm sure in some parts of the state it is a problem, but not geographically, not where I am in North Carolina.
I don't think it's a geography problem. I literally think it's the TV is just so old problem and they can't afford to replace it. And I recognize the model of the TV.
Is it?
And I had a flashback to when I was like.
Is it the ones with the big?
Ironically, 8 years old.
Is it the one with the big back on the end? Like.
Yes, I remember playing my GameCube on it.
Oh, yeah.
Playing video games on it and watching Wizard of Oz when I was 8 years old on that exact same model. And then my dad took it a couple years later to put it in his room.
I had never seen The Wizard of Oz until I was in high school. When I was cast in The Wizard of Oz, me and my mom watched the whole thing because I'd never seen The Wizard of Oz as an adult. until that point. And if you want to forward your hate mail, be sure to forward it to the nctvpodcast@gmail.com. That, once again, is the nctvpodcast@gmail.com, all lowercase. But be sure to forward your hate mail there.
No, do not send hate mail. Just send constructive criticism.
Well, I am the worst film alumni. Ask anybody, because
you are not the worst.
I have never seen classic movies. I have a whole list of classic movies most film majors probably have seen by now, and I have not seen a good amount of them. I was in a parody of Rocky, and I have not seen Rocky. That is blasphemy. Probably.
I only saw Rocky because I saw Creed, and I could tell there were continuity things popping up, but I couldn't tell what they were.
Creed was good. It had me emotional.
It was amazing.
Sylvester Stallone still should have won that Academy Award, but I haven't seen Bridge of Spies, so I don't know how good Mark Rylance was. But I just know that Sylvester Stallone, he was good. Well,
it wasn't just about him. It was part of the hashtag Oscars So White thing, where it's like this entirely predominantly black cast, only Sylvester Stallone in a supporting role gets nominated, and he even offered, "Look, I'm not even going." But they told him, "You have to go to represent all of us."
But they kind of made up for that. Well, that sounds very bad, but they've offered more representation in later years with recognizing Black Panther, more diverse nominations. You have Greta Gerwig as Best Director in 2017 for Lady Bird. You have more both gender and racial quality, more representation that way. Not equality, but there's more representation than how it was earlier in the decade. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman.
R.I.P. R.I.P. I remember.
R.I.P. Black Panther and Jackie Robinson.
James Brown. Me and my dad first saw him in 42 when that came out in 2013. And then we saw him in Captain America Civil War. And then we saw him again in Black Panther. Because I don't think we saw Get On Up but I know my dad wanted to see 21 Bridges earlier this year with him in it. And he recently came out with Defy Bloods by Spike Lee on Netflix. And I watched a clip of that today. A clip from Spike Lee's Instagram with the lead Delroy Lindo and Spike Lee, or not Spike Lee, Chadwick Boseman, scene from the movie. I think it's towards the end, but shouldn't spoil it, but he was saying, "I forgive you, God is love, love is God." And to do all that while he was fighting what he was fighting, and still seeing kids in the hospital. Rest in peace, sir.
Rest in peace. And I guess as they're flipping through the channels, they're having a back and forth that I know my family has had, where everyone's screaming through different rooms about how many flips it takes. And Betty knows she is a queen, and she wants everyone to bow down to her, because she's asking Wayne, "Can you give me some wine? I'm out here on the lanai."
And she has the window open, and she can't go in to get it herself. And she even she puts more effort into being lazy than she does actually getting up and going in to go get it.
Exactly. I've seen like some of my friends' parents and stuff. They'll say, "Hey, can you give me the remote? It's right in front of you on that side table." I know, but could you just get it? I'm the parent and you're the child.
She even goes about getting 2 sticks to get the box of wine from the kitchen. She goes over and then comes back with it. Or not comes back with it. She tries to get it with the 2 sticks.
The best case scenario is that Betty is able to somehow lift the weight of the box, which she clearly can't do, directly outside and get it to her. worst case scenario is she leans too far, hits her head on the sink, and then falls inside the house.
Kind of destroying the window, or not destroying, but kind of breaking part of the window when she falls in.
I know, and Jenny's even saying, Wayne, you do not work for her. Do not give her that wine. You can just come inside, mother. Wayne said, okay, I'm just going to put it on the windowsill like a pie cooling. Jenny said, don't you give her that wine, and put it on the kitchen table. And one of my favorite lines from Betty is, damn you to hell, girl.
And then they kind of figure out they come across the main plot of the episode with a very scary looking woman, and I'm sure she may be nice, but this is a cartoon, not a real life person, with the newscaster saying that there's a problem with the town statue of a tobacco founder, and the whole town's in a kerfuffle because of it.
Her name is May K. Bueller, and she's not even supposed to be there. She's supposed to be on bed rest. But I guess someone called her in, or she's a workaholic.
Then saying, I'm on bed rest, then I'm on break. And I only say that because of the reference, and because maybe there's a reference later in the episode. You don't know unless you've already seen the show.
Well, she was in the first episode.
I
keep wanting to call her Nikki or Brenda.
I meant with the I'm on break girl. But it was the newscaster in the first episode?
Oh, not the newscaster. I'm sorry. The I'm on break girl. I forgot what name I gave her the first time. I think it might have been Crystal.
Is it?
Now I wanted to call her Nikki.
Is it Becky?
No, not Becky with the good hair. Oh gosh. Maybe.
If you know the name of this character, write into NCTV Podcast.
Maybe Shelly Lynn. I don't know.
Well, let's just call her the I'm on break. Well, no, that's disrespectful to the character. I'm going to look this up. Oh, and they destroyed that restaurant. Spoiler alert.
I know. I was so mad.
I'm even mad because I noticed something when she was talking to Jesus, that the kind of like sneeze guard was up on its end, or something was up with it. It looked odd. You know what I mean?
Someone had literally sneezed in that salad bar.
I don't know if they sneezed that much. Where's the
I don't know. It came in the loop.
It's not Brenda. It's not Jeremy Lee. It's not Louise. I'm gonna keep on looking. Looking. Do. Is it Dawn?
Let's say her name is Dawn.
We're gonna call you Dawn. And
yes, it's like the soap.
And Emily Spivey or any of the Bless the Hearts cast members, if we're wrong, let us know and talk to us about it.
Please do.
That'd be great. I feel like we're just going to start saying wrong. I'm going to start saying wrong things just to get them on the show. And they're going to go through a whole list. We've been listening. And we have these lists of grievances. And we're like, yes, we know. That was our plan.
I will find the proper channels. Hopefully we can get someone on the show.
Yeah, because we'll find a way.
Twitter did not work.
We'll find a way, Maya Rudolph. We'll find a way. You too, like Baron Holtz. Jillian Bell, if you want to come on the show, that's cool. Kristen Wiig, you're doing Wonder Woman, and that's cool. But you know what else would be cool? Being on the show. That'd also be cool. So, yeah.
So, May K. Bueller is supposed to be a reference to real life Anchor from X Point. Well, wherever this is supposed to be set.
Let me look it up and see where it's supposed to be said. I think we've mentioned it before that
I know the real life person actually liked the post with like the character's face on it and did a whole post about it on Instagram.
Oh, here it is. The name of the show's fictional town, Greenpoint, is a portmanteau. I'm butchering this because I do not speak portmanteau. Thank you. Of Greensboro, the town Greensboro, and High Point. So it's a combination of that. And she's from where? Which Anchor is this woman?
Her name is supposed to be May-Kay Bueller. She's supposed to be a reference to some local High Point news anchor, and I can't remember which post that she liked and reposted herself on Instagram, but she did a picture of the character and a picture of herself in a Bless the Harts cap that apparently she got from Fox.
Well, dang. I may have to do some research after this. Oh, and I'm looking at the Wikipedia, and it says that we're going to get 3 new guest cast members in season 2. 3 people are going to guest star. Ken Jeong, who's also from North Carolina, or did his, I don't know what you would call it. The word is escaping me, but kind of the, when you become a doctor, it's when you do your like trial run. I'm very sorry for not remembering the word. Kristen Shaw, aka Louise, and Carol from Last Man on Earth, and Natasha Lyonne from Orange is the New Black and the American Pie series. But it is on Wikipedia, so I don't know how legitimate these claims are. Oh, it's from Deadline Hollywood. That I should have clicked on that link to confirm. But let me look. Yep, those 3 are joining the series ahead of its September 27th run. I assume as guest cast members. They could be, more, supporting roles, more frequent guest casts, and that'd also be cool. But back to the episode, she kind of reveals that the town is in a debate over the statue of a tobacco founder who lives an eccentric Howard Hughes-like life that we find out when it comes back from the show's opening title sequence. And that...
Yes, and I put down that smoking is an allegory for slavery, and it reminded me of the 2015 Rasha tearing down Confederate statues and the history behind them, and then that rose up again during the 2020 civil rights protests, including one in Louisiana, I kid you not, after the local board voted to keep the statue up, the hurricane came through and knocked it down.
Oh, so nature was just like, nope.
Not today, honey.
Not today. Nope.
Not today.
You made the wrong choice. Society. I say yeet.
Yeet.
But it also brings a sort of awareness to more. It brings like a renewed interest in, or not interest, but a renewed focus on smoking and the link to cancer that it causes as well.
And like tobacco's role in North Carolina's history, which it does literally when people came here as like pilgrims to plant stuff. Nothing else was going to grow here. Nothing. We were going to starve to death. I don't care if people said it was the Native Americans that felt that we were going to die because we had nothing else to trade until someone brought some tobacco seeds. Which, yeah, it helped us, but now we know the historical effects, and it's not good for us.
Oh, by no means, and it kind of ties back to her and ties back to Jenny and trying to give a viable moral message through fictional means. Because I don't think many shows talk about smoking much anymore. Because I know The Simpsons talked about it when Lisa was smoking, when she was doing her ballerina lessons.
I think that's one of the first episodes of The Simpsons I actually watched. And I thought, oh, this is so good.
And then Homer shoots the cigarette and I was like, I can't believe how easy it is for people to get cigarettes in this country. And he has like all the guns in his jacket. Because I think he's still a member of the NRA.
I think he was like a renewed member of the NRA in that episode. I think he got them to get rid of some raccoons and then they became friends.
Yeah, because he was Homer just went nuts with guns, and then they came and saved him at the end of the episode. Spoiler alert. And if you're mad that I gave you a spoiler alert, be mad and watch the episode on Disney Plus, which is also not sponsoring the show. It'd be cool if they were, but they're not. But watch the episode on Disney Plus or FXX. But it's talking about like a viable moral message and trying to find, kind of re-emphasizing Jenny's moral high ground. Because I believe you said that was kind of the theme of the first season. Because when she was working at Bud's, and in this episode, she's trying to find a middle ground to where she can both provide for her family, as well as feel morally right.
I know it's like throughout all your life as you're raised, you're like, you have to follow these specific rules, but then they don't prepare you for the gray situations where you're told you have to choose one or the other. It's so hard, and especially in like this episode. You're right. Not a lot of shows actually talk about smoking anymore since it's gone so out of favor. But if they do, it's like Family Guy with vaping, and it just looks stupid.
Because I remember Family Guy also talked about that a couple years ago when Peter was smoking so that he could be an anti-smoking advocate.
Originally, it was just to get a break. An advocate, and also to get a longer break at work.
Yeah, and it took a toll on his physical health.
And he thought, yeah, now that it stopped, that'll be great, right? No, Peter, this is long-term consequences. You're not going to get better.
And
I think he was just chain smoking all the time.
And Jenny makes clear from early on in the episode what her moral stance is, because that sets the stage for the next scene when people are protesting outside of the Last Supper where she works in this town, which is right near the town square, kind of how they base it geographically. And people are protesting and they're like, oh, we want this out of our town. And
I was like, no, we want to hear.
Some more conservative people, I assume they're conservative, more pro-statue people that want the statue to stay are like, oh, I can't believe they're doing that to that statue. And Jenny tries to make her stance clear. And she kind of reverses when she sees that the tip money's on the line. Tip money is needed to help put Violet through school. So she's just going to do a 180 on her whole moral compass.
And because their money situation is messed up from the last couple schemes that they've had.
Yeah, because their fridge is bungee corded together. Something's wrong, I think, with the coffee pot, because they fix it when they do the whole fix it up montage. Because you got to have a fix it up montage.
They do, everything's broken down.
And like that's the way that she thinks to make money. And when she comes in feeling morally compromised, Wayne's just like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. And she's like, but look at all the money it brought us. And he's like, well, you need to keep doing this because this will help fix a lot of things around here, help fix the TV. And they kind of go through the montage as it fixed the coffee pot, the refrigerator. I assume they fixed the TV. They couldn't.
They actually got a new, like a big screen TV.
Yeah, because they just go kind of what my parents would say. They go ass crazy and spend a lot of their money when they could have bought, they bought the biggest thing in the store.
They did. I even wrote down, okay, you guys have bought a lot of unnecessary things. I don't think you needed the cappuccino machine.
And it listed as $360. I looked at the episode when they were buying the TV and it had it like $360. I could be wrong. I may need to go back and check and mention it the next time we do the episode, another Bless the Hearts episode. But
that price does sound right. I guess because I had, if you guys don't remember from last time, I did mention I had to buy some new stuff for my apartment because my other stuff broke down from the movers. And one of them, I kind of had to haggle with myself where to find this specific TV. I got it down from like 400 and something to 220. And mine is definitely not as big as theirs, but it's kind of like a flat screen. It's like half that size.
And there are some good prices on TVs, but we're not here to talk about TVs until we get a sponsor. But we're here to talk about Bless the Hearts. And they go ass crazy spending their money. And because they see a financially viable way to make money off of people's opinions. And even Wayne goes so far as to, make T-shirts and make stuff to sell to both pro and anti-protesters. And one thing I noticed is that they could have done that with the episode, you know what I mean? They could have had Wayne just kind of take over instead of Jenny playing both sides. They could have had Wayne just play the pros and Jenny play the anti, or the people that are against it, and kind of pit them against each other. Be like, well, Wayne, can you kind of see it from my point of view? But no, they have Jenny, play the field, because this is called Bless the Harts. It is about Jenny Hart. But that could have been a way that they could have gone with the episode.
Well, they could have, but I actually wrote down that, they're couples goals, actually. Let's see, where did I actually see this? So, relationship goals. One of the reasons that Jenny and Wayne work well together is that they are supportive of each other and they work great as a team. Open communication. It's like, okay, Wayne, this is literally my problem. She and Wayne are both on the same page. Smoking is bad. Wayne's had family members that have died from smoking, but they're also not above manipulating the odds to get a good opportunity. And, like her tip money, and he and Leonard go down to like Copy Mart and get a bunch of tote bags and T-shirts of pro and anti stance. So it actually works because she's got someone in her corner. She doesn't have to have the stereotypical fight montage. I feel like it's better to make the TV series stand out so that it doesn't have to be where she's the Marge Simpson and he's the Homer Simpson as XPs where they have to fight about it. Instead, they can work together and come to a consensus about what this really is. So it doesn't have to be about their relationship.
Yeah, they don't have to have problems, because I think that it's kind of spoiling the season finale based on the clips I've seen. But like in the season finale of the first season, they kind of have some relationship problems, but that's not evident here. You know what I mean? They have, like you said, more of a grounded relationship to where they help each other. Because Wayne, we've already established that Wayne is there for the Hart family, even though that Jenny and him aren't engaged or married or anything like that. They're there for each other, and he wants to try to provide for Violet because he's kind of a surrogate father. Well, not a surrogate father. He is her father, in a way, because I don't think that she's met the rich pool cleaner guy that wears coats in the wintertime, or wears winter coats in the summertime, or...
No, he's weirdly tan.
He's weirdly tan in the winter.
He must have a tanning bed or something.
But they kind of...
And he's always angry.
But she hasn't really... I don't think they've established yet, like, that they've met. That Violet has met the weirdly tan pool cleaner man. Which rhymes.
I mean, why would they? They don't have a pool.
Exactly. They don't have a pool. They can't even afford to have a Satanist church in their backyard. How can they have a pool?
I put down in the opening credits, there's actually one of the Jesus billboards just before Baby Doll Bud's billboard. It's like a blinking you miss it moment. And I thought, I've actually started seeing a lot of the rural religious billboards popping up.
I guess as the show goes on, kind of like BoJack Horseman, where they take the D out of the Hollywood sign and it's just Hollywood when you watch the show.
And I put down that since Violet and David found out about Morris Culpepper, who's named after Morris cigarettes, he was an eccentric billionaire, like you said, just like Milton Hershey near the end of his life, who was also a heavy smoker. I think he smoked like 10 cigars a day. And near the end of his life, he really wanted to get into making vegetable sherbet, different things with vegetables to make things healthy. And he wanted everyone to try it. The only thing is no one could really tell him that his taste buds are shot. So everything he wanted to make, like carrot sherbet, B plot. First off, we find out that Betty's full maiden name is Betty June Bryant, which explains the B on the water bill from the first episode. From the second episode. And she was a tobacco beauty queen in 1973.
Who met Mr. Morris, what was his name? Morris Culpepper, when she was 17.
At age 17.
And she was about to marry him, but then she didn't really want to pull an Anna Nicole Smith, her words, and be with him in that sense to get money.
Well, she admits to gold digging. That's the interesting part, because she even tries to line it up. They're like, Grandma, this is you? Yes, that's me. I'm lying in my Southern Belle pose, thinking about my old days, drinking my wine. And I noticed the nostalgia filter on her flashback immediately. She said, oh yeah, I'm totally going to ride him for everything he's got. The only thing is, I did not expect I have to sleep with him. And I thought, oh, okay, well, she's a virgin in this sense. That's the type of religion we're doing here. So she ran off because at first she thought he was dead. And then turns out, nope, I just had flies in my mouth. So are we doing this? Nope, I'm not ruthless enough to do this out of wedlock. And I wrote down she's a religious con artist. But she is pissed that another woman swooped in and took her place.
Marjune. She eventually becomes Marjune Culpepper, but I think her name's Marjune. Played by Mrs. Incredible herself,
Helen Hunt.
No, I don't think it's Helen Hunt. It's
not?
No, that's I'm looking it up. But she was in The Big Sick with the actor that plays Jesus, Kunal Nanjiani. Holly Hunter.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Sorry, Miss Hunter. So Betty's whole story is about values versus ambitions. And it's like this sequence that first made me make the whole timeline episode with, the whole timeline bonus episode to try and lay out how I think the Bless the Harts family thing worked. And the whole bonus episode for the show explained they're getting a season 2 threw me for a loop. I thought, oh, okay, no, she wasn't a virgin with this. Either she backed out with the trucker at the year before, or she just wasn't physically attracted to him. If you've seen that bonus episode.
I have not seen that bonus episode as of yet. I apologize, but I will.
No, it's fine. It was released through Instagram where Jenny and Betty are nervous because Violet decided she needed space and she's being a little secretive. So instead of them bursting in her room like they did in the Huggin' Bugs episode, she actually locked the door and barricaded it with Betty's diabetic snacks. So we find out Betty has diabetes. And they're like, what do you mean? What's going on? Do you need me to, do you want to come out and watch 90 Day Fiancé with us? No, I'm good. They're like, oh my gosh, we got to watch her. Oh, please, she's going to be fine. She's a nerd. They don't get into trouble. And they both talk about how each one of them, they were wild teens. We find out Betty apparently at age 16 skipped school, met up with some trucker that just happened to drive down the road. He asked her, are you legal? As in legal to do adult things. She said, in Oklahoma, I am. And he said, in Oklahoma, it is. So she got in the truck with him, and he looks like he's 40 with a big old beard. And I thought, what is the age of consent in Oklahoma, which sent me down a tailspin?
Yeah, that's not something. Yeah, that is not. Just no. Just no to all of it.
So they trucked for like 2 days, I guess, for this to happen. No. And Jenny's, I was even more concerned because apparently she snuck out of her room, met up with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend inadvertently admits he's married while she's like in her teens. And then later on, she meets up with Brenda, who's doing cartwheels. Well, not cartwheels, doing donuts in some pool. in a golf cart like in Gravity Falls. And Jenny mentions, yeah, he broke up with me. Jenny was already upset that he's married. So Brenda decides, okay, we're going to take him out. To Jenny's horror, she has him wrapped up, still alive, in a tarp. Brenda thought he was dead, and they roll him down a hill.
Whew, that's... Well...
It was not Don Reynolds, I promise. That was not Don Reynolds.
I'm not saying I hope it was Don Reynolds. I'm just like, they killed the man. They straight up killed a man.
I hope not.
Yep, that would be bad to come back and haunt Jenny. Like that he comes and finds her. Like she could... Oh, we're writing an episode right now. She could end up on the news. And then he comes and finds her, puts her in jail, and they have to use the money. But Wayne is like, nope. But they still can't get the money back. But they saved Jenny's reputation.
I know.
Get on it, Emily Spivey. We wrote an episode for you. You take it from here.
So after that flashback ends, Betty's lamenting, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. She got everything I should have gotten if I had made the right choice. And she tries to throw her wine glass dramatically against the wall, and it turns out it's made of plastic, so it just bounces, and I love it.
Yeah, and it just keeps bouncing. It's like one of those bouncy balls you get at a restaurant. Just bum, 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 bum. And if anybody wants to turn that into a remix, feel free.
More David, yay. Violet mentions Grey Gardens, which is, if no one else knows, it's actually a film that was still daring for its time about relatives of Jackie Kennedy Onassis, like her mom's cousins, her aunt and cousin named Big Edie and Little Edie.
And that they live in squalor, pretty much.
Because so Big Edie's husband died, and she was doing a terrible job at managing the money. And Little Edie lives with her mom, both because she's afraid of her mom squandering money and because she's worried about not having a lot of prospects. And she both resents and also dotes on her mom at the same time. So they're living in this terribly filthy mansion. Little Edie has a hair condition, so like all her hair is gone, but she wears a lot of scarves, intricate scarves to make up for it. And they're doting on raccoons and eating a bunch of corn. But basically, it's also an LGBT gay icon film.
And Bill Hader and Fred Armisen did a parody of it for their show and documentary now. For if you've seen that on the Independent Film Channel.
So they're establishing Violet's love of art house films and classic cinema. Also, one of the newer episodes of American Dad, where like Francine reveals that she's been secretly slipping Steve breast milk because she's been worried about him slipping away.
I saw part
I kept saying this because he has had health problems.
Oh my!
Like the scene where she started directly breastfeeding him and wearing the big straw hat that was from Grey Gardens.
Okay.
She started it and escalated it. Let's be honest. I guess, like you said, we go back to the restaurant. The debate is happening outside, and what Jenny should have done, and all this was just stay completely neutral. She didn't have to take a side publicly. Personally, she does.
And at the restaurant, publicly, she does, and that kind of gets the patrons, even the patrons that always seem to talk to each other, who are surprisingly on different sides of the argument. They want Jenny to speak when, surprisingly, Randy's display doesn't go the way that he thinks it will, and he starts baton twirling and fire spitting, or fire breathing, or whichever way you want to call it. But when that doesn't go particularly well, they were like, oh, we should get Jenny to speak. And they're like, and she's like, what? I will have to answer for my actions? No. No.
I'm just literally one person. But like, you have to. We gave you money.
And she tries to stay neutral. And they're just like, be more specific.
And I don't know how it escalated, but someone decided we're just going to riot. And I thought, okay, that is just their opinion. That was not her fault.
From a man with a anchor tattoo is like, she's right. We do need to take action. And they're all like, what? No. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to freak out. And then they go and destroy.
If you're going to destroy anything, destroy the statue.
But they don't. They destroy the town. To celebrate the pride in their community, they're going to destroy their town.
Oh my gosh. Y'all are so stupid.
They're so stupid. They wouldn't know this song is about them. They're so stupid.
So, I guess back to the restaurant. Jenny should have let sleeping dogs lie, but didn't.
And then they destroyed the restaurant.
It was for a pro-smoking family, and one of them, you could tell, was about to light up in the restaurant, and they had this big stack of cash, and he was about to slide it off the table until she did a 180. And I was horrified when he said, and I quote, "Welcome to the right side of history." Just like One Tree Hill, they're the good ones analogy.
Oh, no.
I thought, oh, they knew what they were doing. They knew how to do this.
Yep, because I believe that they even did protests like in 2018, probably when they were making when the show was in production, kind of went that way. They were able to add that jokes in when the protests were going on. They may have been going on in 2018, but it happened.
So afterwards, Jenny's conflicted, but she's like, I got the money. And she's coming home at night. And normally we see her walking home from the restaurant, but I think she might have borrowed Betty's car to make her extra shifts to get out of debt. I can see that happening.
And one thing when you kind of think about it, where was Brenda? Because Brenda shows up, and it seems like Jenny's working both sides of this debate. But why couldn't they have just, I know Brenda's independent, but another way they could have gone the episode is that, for both of them to play sides, or for the restaurant itself to play sides, instead of Jenny doing it on her own. You know what I mean?
True. I guess my biggest thing was, where's the rest of the staff? They can't be the only two servers because they clearly have a kitchen staff and bus boys and stuff, whereas Louise just that cheap.
Probably that
especially
cheap.
When she tried to make them clean up all the debris and stuff, and they don't need to do that. They're going to get hurt.
Because are they getting paid? Because she said the restaurant's closed, so she still has to work and clean the restaurant.
Oh no, they're not getting paid for that. Louise is going to make sure they don't get paid. In fact, even for spoiler, like the Christmas episode, she withheld their Christmas bonuses that she kept hinting at they were going to get unless they came to her Christmas party, where she flaunted all of her wealth, tried to flaunt how she and Daniel are so well together, even though that's not the case. And then when she handed them the Christmas bonus checks, she called them charity cases.
Gosh. And wasn't her husband Dan, wasn't he with a group of guys when they were on the protest, or not in the restaurant? And she was in that montage?
Yep. He might, I don't know if he's pro or anti, but whatever Louise gets, as long as it makes her money.
And whatever keeps her somewhat of a marriage alive.
Yes. So when Jenny gets home, it's late at night, and the TV has just clearly broken down. It is time to be replaced. Wayne might be fixing everything around the house. That might be why there's bungee cords and stuff around to help save on the bills. And again, Wayne advises her to stay neutral on the important topics, but he is immediately on board when she sees, oh, you brought back like $100 and so extra in tips.
She got a $5 bill. That means we have to give up all of our morals and replace all of our appliances.
I mean, we can, or since like we're working poor, this could go straight to us, and we're cutting out the middleman. It was a lot of weird math, kung fu to explain we need to keep this money, fix up the house,
a lot of
save
moral
up for
juggling. A lot of moral juggling.
And I put down nothing too frivolous as you would normally see in stories. Like, I guess because it mentioned, hey, so we need to fix the roof, we need to fix all these appliances, and then they, like you said, they went half-ass crazy.
No, they went full ass crazy.
They went full crazy.
They went ass crazy.
They went all donkeys crazy.
They went ass crazy. I'm gonna say the word because we're independent.
Yes, we are. They went ass crazy. All the asses in the world. Well, luckily they didn't build a big mansion.
No.
Although in hindsight, I wonder if they'll put like any money towards the ostriches.
Probably not. They'll just keep them as pets. They probably sold all the ostriches but one.
I know. I just hope Wayne didn't lose his truck.
He probably didn't lose his truck because they're still driving around in it in the opening title sequence.
True. So then we get the montage. If you remember last time, I sang the parody song, Kristen Wiig. You get to listen to her sing 10-4.
10-4. Or 4
as a parody of Dolly Parton's 9 to 5. And I love that it acknowledges how hypocritical and shifty their whole operation is. And at the same time, Jenny's work in the crowd, Wayne and Leonard sell anti and pro statue T-shirts across the site across from the Last Supper. They are the working poor, but they will hustle their buns off.
And they go to Kinko's or a Kinko's equivalent. Or often
they went to Kinko's.
Yeah, they went to Kinko's and got shirts, lots of stuff made.
Yes. and and I love that hearing some of Jenny's explanations about why the anti and pro section. I wonder, what does Louise think about this? I guess she doesn't care.
No, she doesn't care because, and apparently neither does Brenda because Brenda only has one line in the episode. But I guess Louise doesn't mind because she's still getting business and she allowed Jenny to play both sides by hanging up pro and anti signs, or Louise could have hung up those signs, but Jenny was still kind of playing both sides.
Kind of. And Jenny points out, okay, the statue is actually not that old. It's from 2002. So not even 18 years old.
Yeah, not even a century old.
And so she appeals to the pro side with logic, but she appeals to the anti side with emotion. Where she said, first they take our statues, and then they're going to take something else. What, now they're going to say that we can't smoke on TV anymore?
And then it cuts away before a gentleman starts to smoke a cigarette.
Tongue in cheek. And so I put down, okay, Jesus is always watching. You can literally see his eyes shifting around as if it's Scooby-Doo, watching Jenny work both sides. And he's like silently judging her.
Her conscience is weighing on her.
And I put down, Jenny is essentially playing devil's advocate. The statue isn't that old to quell historical concerns, just like the slave statues that were put up in the 1930s by groups called by Daughters of the Confederacy to dispel the rise of the civil rights movement, versus anger about personally being censored, not adjusting to new social norms. It's like people who make masks for anti-mask / anti-vaxxers. Like a lot of the statues from like 2015 that people would pull down themselves. The reason why they crumbled so easily is because they were quickly mass produced and made of shoddy material. And people would still say it's our heritage. It's like for stuff that happened like 60 years prior.
It's like that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia quote. If I play both sides so that in the end I always come out on top.
Yes. Sorry if I'm running over you. I just like getting through all my stuff.
No, you're fine. I feel like I'm running over you a little bit, so I'm sorry about that. And then it kind of...
So there's a tongue-in-cheek joke about smoking on TV, like you mentioned. They missed the opportunity for a Dale Gribble cameo, which will be rectified later.
They better digitally insert him. They could do it with Superman's mustache. They can do it with Dale Gribble.
Also, North Carolina actually abolished smoking in restaurants in 2007. So this guy should have been asked to leave when he's about to light up. Better yet, the scene should have taken place outside on a patio set as the smoking section.
Yeah, they were already smoking inside anyway. Some people were.
Doing that. That people have asthma.
And people don't like the smell of cigarette smoke while you're eating.
And getting in your hair, getting in your clothes.
Especially when people are on break. It is not good. It is not fun. Goes toward the town debate about the statue, where David Cross is kind of shooting away Randy as he wants people to calm down and try to settle the statue. And Randy is half dressed, and I think he's on a unicycle. This sounds like a fever dream. It is not. I think he's half dressed on a unicycle, breathing fire with a mask on.
He's dressed like Morris Culpepper in one of those outfits where the pants are attached to a horse.
And it looks like
he looks like the statue outside, and he's trying to put on a whole spectacle. I think he had a bigger reason for doing all this, but he always gets cut off. He's into showmanship.
Because he thinks like this whole thing is like a carnival, so he's playing it like a carnival.
Exactly.
And people are just divided because Randy's not helping. They hate Randy. And
it's like we have one pro person, one anti, and the anti-statue person who literally lost his vocal cords to smoking, who I think might have been Dale Gribble, who was mentioned to have been smoking since grade school. He's using a modulator, one of those throat things for when you can't smoke anymore, since it's ruined your throat from throat cancer. He's still in favor of the statue. That would be a Dale Gribble move.
And Jenny calls him out on it. You're speaking about pro-smoking through a hole in your throat. Kind of antithetical. Whatever the word is.
No, we've had PSAs about that for at least 30 years.
Even more recent.
Guys look exactly like him.
And people are... Yeah, we have had more recent ones like that where it's talking about personal stories, about health concerns, about people dying. When it comes to anti-smoking ads, even anti-vaping ads, because we don't know the potential health effects of vaping at the moment. But they eventually get Jenny up on stage, and she kind of plays she appeals to both sides and fails while trying to appeal to both. And through an offhand comment while she was talking, they're just like, yeah, we'll take action. We'll destroy the town to celebrate our community. And she's like, I'm not saying this at all. Stop it. And they just run out of the town hall and go destroy Greenpoint. And eventually, revealed in the next scene from the commercial break, they destroy or break into the Last Supper. Since it was that close to the middle of town hall, town square.
I even put down that no one takes ownership of Randy. That's how hated he is on either side. So Violet's wrestling coach, art teacher, wants to keep the statue up with more cigarettes on it. Okay, weird athlete. I put down her name is Trina.
Oh, Dawn or whatever her name is?
Dawn, Trina, whatever. We're on break, girl.
Can we just call her Tron? And Tron. And
yeah. Tron is against due to legitimate health concerns around her workplace and the secondhand smoke. Which it had, I remember some Golden Age actor, he ended up becoming an anti-tobacco advocate because all the secondhand smoke around the clubs his wife worked at as a showgirl actually killed her. And that's where I put in the license-friendly Dale Gribble XP. And Jenny is called to act as tiebreaker because voting isn't a thing, I guess. And the mayor is a limp noodle because he didn't stand behind the decision to take down the statue or any decision to stop the rioting.
He wanted the town to decide rather than him make a stance on anything.
Instead, she incites a town riot somehow, and I put down Van D-U-M-B, Van Dumb, at its finest. So the riot led to the Last Supper being looted and vandalized. So they are closed until Brenda and Jenny clean up everything.
And she kind of
why.
has a conversation with Jesus, a literal come to Jesus.
Passive aggressive Jesus calls out Jenny for compromising her morals for money. And this version of Jesus is definitely my favorite version of fiction Jesus.
And he kind of does what Jenny does. He makes her feel bad while saying he's not involved. He's like, oh, I'm not doing anything. I'm just here. It's your conscience that's weighing on you. It's not anything to do with me. You know, making her feel guilty without saying that he's a part of it. Kind of doing what Jenny's doing.
And I asked, why in the world would Louise not hire a construction crew or clean up a lot of broken glass and stuff?
Because it's cheaper to volunteer the employees that need their jobs to do it for you.
I know, but they don't have their PPE and stuff to keep. Jenny's wearing open-toed shoes, and they're both wearing. Jenny and Brenda are wearing T-shirts, but basically they're not equipped for this service to do all this heavy construction. But Louise deserves to be sued for this.
Yeah, but they probably can't get a lawyer, and it's cheaper to just get the employees that you already have. And most of it looked like it was already put off to the side, so they just need to start somewhere. You know, because she could have had them like clean, you know, which would fall within the PPE. I don't know about PPE, but, you know, the closed-toed shoes, just clean up and then maybe come back at a later point. They even could have got Wayne to help.
Maybe. He does work with the construction company.
Yeah, they could have got Wayne and Leonard to come in there. They could have even got, because David and Violet could be wanting to paint over the paint of Jesus. Not saying they would, but
I feel like Louise would not allow them to because she, I don't mean to offend anybody, but she seems to be the type of Christian who has been saved and likes to proclaim it, but she doesn't always toe the line of forgiveness and humility and being humble. So she'll kind of lord it over you, and that's kind of why the restaurant is very Christian themed.
She's still keeping part of her. She's still keeping her Christian professing her religion, but she's still kind of being part of the same person she may have been before. Not saying that people are like that, but it could be the case with Louise.
Mm-hmm. So Jesus called out Jenny for her short-sightedness that led to the unforeseeable disaster. So literally, she could not see that there was a riot coming or that people would be so upset about this. Jada refused to see her hand in the problem, but it's clearly in the back of her mind, especially now. Oh my gosh, I can't work now. This huge cash flow of money has been cut off, and I still have bills to pay, and we spent a lot of our other money on, let's see what I actually took down, itemized list of appliances, because I am a crazy person. We have a cappuccino machine, waffle maker, extra large flat screen TV, new refrigerator, beer and wine, but that's neither here nor there to signify the amount of money they made. And she was making like $100 a day in tips.
Hey, Kelsey, I'll be right back for a minute. I'll be right back.
Okay. Excuse me. Where in the world is my power bank?
And just like that, I am back.
Welcome
Welcome to part 2 of Le Podcast.
Le Podcast NCTV.
I don't know how to speak French, but
Neither do I.
But anyway, but we're gonna get to it anyway because we are professionals.
Okay, so sorry. So going backwards, since I'm a crazy person, I started making an itemized list of the things they bought at Megalomart.
Oh my lord!
Some of the things they didn't need, but with tip money, they bought a cappuccino machine, a waffle maker, an extra large flat screen TV. Well, they did need the new refrigerator, beer and wine, and hopefully they patched up that crack in the ceiling. And some other appliances that I couldn't exactly identify. I think it might have been a toaster oven or a bread maker.
Some sort of random appliance.
I might have just been super duper judgy. I'm not gonna lie. And you feel free to call me a booty hole in the comment section. They might have really needed that cappuccino machine.
Because they probably need it to wake up, and since Violet is an artist, she may need it to stay up to write or draw,
or to cut into the cost of those 26 Starbucks cups of coffee a day.
anything to get the price down.
Yeah, so we can afford that condo.
Whoop, whoop.
So the next scene, guess where we go?
Where do we go?
We're going to lawyer-friendly Outback Steakhouse.
Yep, where they have Steve Irwin.
And
oh crap! I got more chicken wings. Woo-hoo.
where's all this stupid? Um, it's apparently that's Wayne and Jenny's go-to date spot. It's the third restaurant we've seen in the show, and it's definitely reoccurring. No spoilers, but we're gonna see it again, and it's only a Wayne and Jenny place.
Some tells me I'm guessing it's the season finale.
Maybe, could be, nothing.
Who knows? You do, and I will when we get to that episode.
I'm doing my knowledge, Jimmy. I know something you don't know.
Ah!
Once again, the couple are discussing, they're on the same page. It's like, okay, look, I can't sleep. This dirty money is not. And I just can't treat myself to this dinner tonight, also because I'm pretty sure I may not be able to afford it. Since my revenue got cut off, I don't know if Wayne's still making money from the T-shirt thing, or if that the whole riot kind of put a kibosh on that. And I love that after their server came, they said, "Look, we're gonna dip out." They were on the same page where Wayne told Jenny, "Grab that bread," and she said she's on it. She stole the bread. Outback bread is so good,
and the knife,
and the midnight dipping oil, and her new designer bag. I mean, I know that lining is ruined, but I would definitely do the same thing. I put down that she got a Birkin bag. It was probably Kate Spade, though.
but it was able to fit all the bread, the oil, the butter, and the knife in one.
And I hope they don't miss that knife. Like, ma'am, we're going to need you to bring that knife back to our kitchen.
And they're already out the door.
I don't know what you're talking about. How dare you accuse me of stealing your bread? Man, we just need the knife. All of this for a loaf of bread? This is not Les Miserables. Nick, I can't say this. Thank you, theater person. Thank you. This is not Les Miserables. Yeah. Joseph Sleep insert name.
Les Miserables.
I would never steal your bread. Man, we just need the knife. All this for a knife? Come on, Wayne, let's go.
Go get it, Russell Crowe. And then you just see Russell Crowe drop down from the ceiling, and he runs after you for the
Don't
loaf
let
of
the
bread.
truck nuts hitch on the way out. Wayne does admit in like the Christmas episode he does have truck nuts. Because Louise asked the valet to park the truck in the back.
But they steal loaf bread, knife, butter, all of it. And Jenny is still kind of arguing, or not arguing, but kind of disagreeing with Wayne about like what's going on. And he's like, well, you only did that because you had to provide for your family. So it can't, that's kind of the justification for playing both sides.
And I guess they're I don't know if this is, I guess the next day they're driving through town trying to figure out what to do. The entire town is still rioting. Statue is still pristine. Again, I don't know why they're not attacking the statue. It'd be one thing if they were just attacking the statue and having a giant brawl, but they're just kind of destroying.
They aren't.
And I put down a pro-smoking Karen. So this mama and her child, irresponsible mother, is oblivious to her havoc crusade affecting her child.
Because she blows smoke right in her child's face.
Not only that, she has taken her face-to-face with a picket-wielding protester who, I hope to goodness, does not hurt this child. Blown smoke in her daughter's face, like you said. It looks like she's saying something about, think of the children or heritage. And Jenny sees it, and she realizes, oh no, this has gone on too long. And we get.
I don't think she hurts the child because Jenny intervenes.
Hmm?
I don't think she hurts the child because Jenny intervenes.
Well, not to intervene, I guess, because she realizes, okay, this is really stupid. The mom, this is all affecting the next generation. And the mom is just oblivious to how she's affecting her own daughter with her craziness. I guess because in some respects, sometimes protests can get so crazy that on either side, someone can get a little violent. I might have been thinking of Hairspray, where like Tracy Turnblad was yelling at the police officer, "Hey, I'm talking to you," and she gently paps him with the sign. The police officer says, "Oh, you just assaulted a police officer. I'm going to arrest you." I was afraid even bigger riot was going to happen, where the protester does the exact same thing to the kid.
But it didn't, because Jenny tried to save the day.
He tried, and it's like the money shot they will use still in the advertisements. Turns out Wayne's truck has loudspeakers.
Yeah, because it's like not a CB, but it's hooked up to some sort of equipment, like you would go around to announce the mayor.
I think maybe he just got like a truck where you can use it for any business. She takes a stand against smoking. She mentions, look, this has gone on too long. Crazy. I've lived here my whole life. I never even thought about this stupid statue until now. And please, let's just take the statue down. And everyone says she's too specific, and the riot continues. And it proves.
And they go and attack her, or try to.
She was just the excuse for the riot. It wasn't her fault to begin with. And even Randy is scared. So
they beat the crap out of Randy.
And it's like, okay, Jesus, you've made your point, and I feel like you need to talk to being angry people. You can't blame Jenny anymore.
And they kind of go back home, and they just realize, well, I've done all I could do, and I can't get through to these people. And I guess we could come back to that, because it kind of intersects with the side story at this point.
Yes, I love both the stories equally,
and how they come together. It's
like one trend. Oh, you go first.
Oh, it ties it all together. The episode does. It brings the two stories that, we're not connected, but they eventually came to serve each other's purpose and kind of work everything out.
Yes. So the B plot. Betty has a trend of dwelling on the past. What I guess I noticed this character trait of hers that also popped up in like the first episode, where she said if Ed was here, then all the bills will be paid. And Violet could go to art school, or how if you'd stayed with your ex, then we'd be rolling in money, and I could have my Dukes of Hazzard car. This time, she's wondering what could have happened if she made certain choices instead of staying true to herself, or if Ed hadn't died.
And it kind of emphasizes
like stress around money and opportunity.
It kind of emphasizes more of the familiarity, or the similarities between Jenny and Betty as a family, because Jenny didn't want to really be with a man for money. She didn't really want to be with the pool clean man with a weird tan, possibly tiny hands. And Jenny didn't want to be with Betty didn't want to be with Morris Culpepper, because it turns out that the morals she thought she had weren't what she felt deep down, and she didn't really want to be with him. But she got mad when somebody else wanted to be with him, and that made Betty very mad.
No, it's like, I thought that I was bad to the bone, but it turns out I'm not even bad to the skin deep. I'm so upset. I'm going to literally wallow in the past. I got my wine. I guess she just got out of the bubble bath because she has a robe on, and I have my old sash on, and she's admiring herself in the mirror, thinking of days past. And Violet and David walk in, and she freaks out and spills all her wine. Don't you walk in on your grandma while she's reminiscing about what could have been.
But she freaks out, like she draws the moment out. She's like, ah, what you doing? Don't bother me.
And Violet and David turns out, okay, yeah, we tracked this lady down. What are you talking about? She's a recluse. We haven't seen her in X amount of years. I know, but can we? Okay, we internet stalked this lady. Can we go to her house?
After the peeled superheroes being active in society, they finally found Mrs. Incredible in a building shaped like a mushroom.
And she asked, why would I do that? Well, to convince her, they said this could be super cathartic for you. 50% see if she's living in a Grey Garden situation, and 50% so Betty will stop obsessing over her perceived greatest mistake as a con woman. And in the background, did you notice some of the pictures in Betty's room?
Yeah, I noticed the Violet as a child picture, and I think she has a photo of Jenny as well. But what other ones does she have?
We have an 8-year-old. We have 8-year-old Jenny on the wall, and a picture of when Violet won the art contest.
Aww.
I know.
I see y'all. Oh, I haven't seen them. I hadn't seen that Kelsey's seen them, but I need to rewatch the episode.
So Betty, I guess now today she has a car since the Last Supper closed down, I guess, or Wayne dropped Jenny off at work. So they went to her condo. It's like, oh, heck no. Turns out Marjune is 118% living her best life in a condo, and she's aged better than Betty. She just travels all the time. And one of the greatest quotes of the episode, oh God, this is going to be some boring ass bullcrap. Because Violet
flat out says it. Oh no.
Violet and David realize, oh no, this is not
a Grey Garden situation. This is gonna be some adult bullcrap.
This is gonna be a Keeping Up with Kardashians situation. This is a Christie situation.
What happens when they get up there to Marjune, her condo?
Well, turns out she's a wonderful lady. Turns out Morris bought Marjune the condo building for her to have her own space. So she's not stuck up or a gold digger. She came out in a fur coat and a Boss jumpsuit. She's got her pedicure. She's got all her jewelry on. And I noticed a lot of animation errors, weirdly enough. So if you look at like David's face during Violet's greatest quote of all time, he was weird. They drew him like a background character, as opposed to like when you get down to Megalo Memories, where at least Wayne, he'll still be kind of moving behind them if no one's talking to him. He was weirdly looking ahead and blinking, but kind of like a placid, friendly face, not horrified like Violet. I don't know what the animator was doing. But I think Betty was both pissed that Violet swore in front of her and that this was not a Grey Garden situation.
And it turns out that people consider her a recluse because she travels mainly to Georgia because all the names sound foreign. And she mainly just goes out dancing and she tries to live her best life. But while David and Violet are being horrified by all of this information, she eventually says to Betty that she does miss Morris, Culpepper, who has the hip of Liza Minnelli, and they reference this in the episode with photo evidence.
And looks like Betty's moving around. Her feet have an animation error during the condo tour. The ankles, for some reason, I think the separation line for the background are running through her ankles. And again, David's face is placid, but then he looks unsettled during the close-up scenes.
Well, some shows have that going on. Some shows have problems or continuity errors.
I know I'm not judging them. I just like pointing it out. They're like little creative thumbprints.
But she says she misses Morris Culpepper, and she comes on to Betty.
Yes. So I just imagine Violet and David are just running around the condo screaming, looking for anything to tell them she is a weirdo. They're like, they're aghast that I put her down as a basic Megan or well-adjusted woman. Because Megan's not an actual term. I just put that down because she's a wonderful lady and it's a wonderful name. Because they even run out of the room screaming when she reveals, oh yeah, I have a Caliente sign and these nice pillows. And Marjorie thought David was a girl and that Betty either adopted him or was her granddaughter.
Yeah, because she says, "Oh, your granddaughters are mistaken."
I don't know how. I don't know. Should we talk to Leonard about this or David's parents? We don't know who he's. I don't know. So Betty and Marjorie, I'm just assuming. Okay, yeah, we're totally. This is a lanai, but veranda, balcony, lanai. This is where we're gonna have our martinis.
And she comes on to Betty and she's like, well, since you have a connection with him and I have a connection with him, trying to come on to her, and Betty finds that she still can't sleep with a rich person for money.
I know.
And she tells this to her granddaughter and her granddaughter's friend.
And Betty, in her position in all this, she's approaching it like a con woman. Marjorie's thinking of it as like a person who married for love and steadily care about someone, but now she's lonely. Betty, she congratulates Marjorie on a hustle well done because all she had to do was wait for this guy to die. And somehow he took an extremely long time to die. He died at like 114 after like having his heart stopped 10 years prior.
Yeah, he came back he died at 105 and then he came back and died at 118.
Marjorie revealed that she actually loved everything about Morris down to his secondhand smoke, even as he was clearly dying. Even she said, I love watching him come home to me as he would come up on his rascal scooter smoking while he had a train of male nurses behind him. And turns out the statue was actually most likely set up as a personal tribute to Morris by her because she loved him.
Because he died 20 years prior in the timeline.
And everyone in their craziness mistook it as a tribute to tobacco heritage and smoking. So I don't think she knows about all the riots and hoopla that's been going on. Oh, I'm sorry. You might have to repeat that.
They interpreted the way they wanted when the real way that it wasn't supposed to be interpreted was very different.
So they used her love to essentially for their own agendas. And it was never about smoking. It was for her ex-husband. So she said, so I can see why Morris could see what's in you. You're a very special lady. And I thought, wait a minute, I'm getting some vibes from when he picked up Betty in her flashback.
Yeah, and then she put the hand over her hand, and it's like, oh, wow, this is heading in that direction.
I noticed it as soon as she offered to light her cigarette, because that was Morris's move. Morris taught her some things. So Betty is reliving her past. she kept saying, if I had the chance, I will go back and make the right choice. She has the chance now to reverse her perceived greatest mistake from 40 years ago by shacking up with Martian, who you'll literally never see her maybe once or twice a month. You do this, you get your money, your baby can go to art school, you can fix up your home that we find out is actually rented, and you can get your car with the Dukes of Hazzard eagle on it.
But she can't do it because she can't sacrifice the morals she has to do it. To do it. She can't bring herself to do it.
Unlike Jenny, she quickly stays true to herself. And unlike her glamorous story, I think this is really what happened when Morris propositioned her. After the whole tour and stuff, when she realizes, oh my gosh, he really does mean I have to sleep with him.
He's like a Scooby-Doo villain. He has like a retractable carpet.
I know. Betty immediately got nervous. I put down as beat by beat from Morris's playbook, and that she dipped out of there so fast she left tire tracks. She left skid marks.
Yep.
Marjorie could smell the smoke, and she knows it's not tobacco.
But she recognized, how sad Marjorie was and how much she missed Morris, which kind of brings us back to the episode and the episode's A story. And after Jenny realizes she can't get through to the townsfolk, someone in Wayne's truck hooks up a rig to get rid of the statue, and it leaves a track out of town. And then Randy tries to be a robot, but everybody just unites in their hatred of Randy, which brings the whole town back together, which is kind of nice, but also at the same time, everybody hates Randy, which should be the spinoff or another title for the show. Bless the Harts.
Everybody hates Randy.
Oh, what can I say, my babies? This hurts, my babies.
I'm pinned. I was instantly pinned. I can't do the voice.
But he gets beat as Jenny and he gets beat trying to be the robot statue, and then Wayne is like, oh, everybody kind of united in their hatred of Randy, so the whole town has forgotten the whole statue disagreement, and then it's kind of revealed that Betty took the statue to give it to Marjorie, who turns out is as every bit as crazy as Violet and David had hoped for, because she's petting a raccoon like it's her baby and wearing tissue boxes on her feet like the departed Howard Hughes. And it just holds on her holding the raccoon for a while until the title cards at the end of the episode come up.
I put down everyone is scarred by their experiences. It's like Violet and David in the car, they're horrified by, I guess, being in the condo and realizing, oh my gosh, this wasn't a crazy lady. We just drove out here for nothing. And how Betty always tries to get over everything, going back to her one true love, Ed. She just kept saying, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I have to reminisce about Ed. And she said, now, your granddaddy, he was so hot.
And then David put his earphones on because it got way too descriptive.
Yes, and even Violet said, this is the worst day of my life. And I realized, okay, it seems like a matter of sexual attraction rather than her ambition. That's the main problem here. And Betty doesn't really think about it. So it turns out Betty and Wayne actually teamed up to steal the town statue and to surprise Marjorie, putting it where it needed to be, right outside of her condo.
Which looks like a popular building, because I've been through the area where the show takes place that they renamed, and there is a building that looks like the building Marjorie stays in, that condo, with the top shaped like a mushroom.
I have to watch it again. I have to make sure it looks like a mushroom.
I just call it the Mushroom Building whenever I see it.
Taking down the statue, which was already planned to happen by the city council before they chickened out, actually stopped the rioting. And I guess Randy has some terrible health insurance because unfortunately he has to have a GoFundMe. And
Nobody cares.
Betty claimed that she donated to it, but she didn't.
Just to look good on Facebook.
That's messed up. They don't really have the capital for it unless she stops doing her scratchers. She's really is well adjusted. I think because she has the actual staff and stuff to keep her condo up and running, despite being in a Great Garden situation. I do think she's still traveling and stuff. This is just what she does at home. And they might have like a raccoon sanctuary in a different part of the apartment.
Yeah, because it is a very tall building. But that was Jenny Unfiltered, the 3rd episode of Bless the Harts.
What did you think of it?
Solid episode, I'd say. If I was watching the show in order, going up against Lydia, then I'd still think it would be a solid episode. Like, it starts to, I think canonically it starts to pick up. Because Huggin' Bugs and Can't Get There From Here were okay, but then I guess it could pick up from here. If you're watching the show in order, which we recommend. I recommend it. I don't know about you, Kelsey, but I recommend that. I can't speak for you because you're an adult and you have your own thoughts, but that's how I feel.
I definitely agree. Watching it in order, I feel like, I guess I definitely feel like Cremains of the Day was a better episode than this, but this is definitely very strong to me.
Yes, this is like when the show picks up. It picks up the show, and we'll see. And Megalo Memories kind of spoiling it. It picks up. Because it picks up and it goes with it. But I don't know about the 6th episode.
Well, I guess the reason why I was kind of upset about having to review like Megalo Memories before Trash Twins is because it doesn't give you the gravity of, you know how every hero, every great folklore hero has to have a nemesis?
Yeah.
We're going to deal with that in, actually, is Trash Twins the next episode we have to do? Hang on.
No, I think it's Megalo Memories.
Let's see. So, let me just look at my episode guide. So Megalo Memories is episode 8. If we were doing like our random things, our regular thing, we would be watching Trash Twins. So that's when we learn about, you know how like every girl show has to have a nemesis?
Yeah.
Well, an interesting take on that. Betty Hart is about to go toe-to-toe with her nemesis, the one, the only, Crystal Lynn Poole.
Played by Mary Steenburgen. I believe she is from North Carolina and has collaborated with Chris. She's been on programs with Kristen Wiig, Kristen Shaw, like Last Man on Earth, Step Brothers.
Back to the Future 3.
Back to the Future 3. I'm trying to think what else she's been in with, like Maya Rudolph and some of the other cast members. But she's been in quite a number of things. She's an Academy Award-winning actress, and she will be featured in Megalo Memories, which is not the next episode we're covering, but it is in the near future. And
it is
in the episode,
the near future, I guess, because like the gravity of their team up. Every time I see her, I think from like one of Betty's lines, Crystal ever loving Lynn.
She hates this woman.
Oh, yes. Yes, she's like, I'm going to say she's like next generation Louise. So if Louise is Jenny's like enemy that she can't exactly stand up to because she rules the paycheck.
And Crystal Lynn is
Betty doesn't have that. Betty can go toe to toe with Crystal Lynn, but Crystal Lynn is one of those polite Christian women who will innocently insult you to your face, but she'll claim to be saved, and then she will attack you in the parking lot while your back is turned.
But also, what did you think of this episode, Jenny Unfiltered?
Jenny Unfiltered, I thought it was pretty good because it went back to can't get from here to there, where she's worrying, okay, how am I going to make this extra money for this certain thing? We're back at start zero at this slippery slope, but I wasn't sure how big my actions had consequences on the entire town.
And does she still keep her appliances?
She does in like future episodes. Some of them she had to get back. I noticed, or at least she had to move them for Megalo Memories. But I do notice they kept the TV.
Well, that's good. And I guess I will keep the fridge. If I was in their
definitely
situation, keep the fridge. Because if you have to bungee together, you're going to get sick. Because you're probably not getting anything cool or refrigerated.
And I'm not sure if they had. I mean, if I had to choose between the cappuccino machine and the waffle maker, I would keep the waffle maker.
Amen.
Because that's like that would be a one-time purchase. The cappuccino machine, I feel like that since it's like a finicky thing, it would constantly keep breaking down, and you can't jerry fix that.
Yeah, you can't jerry rig that. But you thought it was a solid episode. Is it one of your favorites?
It wasn't when I first saw it, but after watching it again and looking at it for character development and side plots, I think it's pretty good, especially with watching the Jenny and Wayne development. I'm glad they don't have to be the stereotypical couple that is constantly at odds. And I noticed that Wayne, his first thought when he saw the money is that I got to take care of my baby, or I got to take care of Jenny.
We'll be able to fix things, and everything's going to be okay.
Yes, it was something else that also popped up in Myrtle Beach Memoirs that we'll also watch, where he said, okay, you and Violet have a good time, Myrtle Beach. I will do I'll take one for the team and listen to the sales pitch for the condos. And that's when Betty taught him about the condo grift, where she said, if you do this well, I will share my secrets, and you will be able to provide my daughter with the scam-rich lifestyle she deserves. And he goes along with it.
That is a couple episodes away, but soon we will cover what is the next episode on our plates for Bless the Harts.
Our next episode on our plate is Trash Twins.
Whoop, whoop.
At Megalomart, a mysterious prankster skids their car in the parking lot, splashing Jenny and Betty with dirty street water.
Ew.
When Betty finds out it's their nemesis, Crystal Lynn Poole, the two conspire revenge. Wayne deals with his misbehaving 10-year-old Uncle Tommy.
We will also be covering episode 5 of One Tree Hill sometime in the future.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for listening and for tuning in with us today. We appreciate it. Send us some fan mail, some questions, comments, or concerns at nctvpodcast@gmail.com.
I'm sorry, I almost forgot.
What's up?
So we had a bit of a cameo appearance from one of Wayne's favorite people, Guy Fieri, XP.
Some foreshadowing for Pig Trouble Greenpoint.
Mm-hmm. 2 episodes away. He pops up on the TV, and he'll also reappear in Megalo Memories briefly on the TV that they have to shut off. Because I guess they're still working with quirks. They have to turn everything off to use the microwave, which in hindsight, I don't think they bought a microwave.
They should have.
Yeah, it'll make more sense when we watch Megalo Memories, but they need to buy a new microwave. I don't care about nostalgia.
Sorry, I'm answering the questions to get into the Bless the Hearts fan group.
So we're going, next episode we're watching is season 1, episode 5, Trash Twins. Hashtag us at NCTV about with any questions or comments. And remember, every listen, Southerner gets his chicken wings.
Hey, more chicken wings. Thanks, Kelsey.
You're welcome. You're going to send me some, right?
Yeah.
And
thank you all for...
Do you have anything to plug?
No, not at the moment. Thank you for Overcast for sponsoring us through Anchor. And try to check us out through Overcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any place where podcasts are available. We thank you all for listening. Send us some fan mail at nctvpodcast, all lowercase, at gmail.com. And we appreciate your viewership all over the world. And we hope you tune in next time. Kelsey, do you have anything to say to the audience?
Well, we love some fan art, and I drew some fan art that I might post with this episode based on the latter interaction between Marjune and Betty.
And where can people find that, the fan cast?
Well, originally
I
did post in the. I originally posted the work in progress on Facebook and the Bless the Hearts Facebook page. The final one I was going to post it in the feed, and originally I was going to ask you like off the record, and I'll probably delete this. If like you wanted us to set up like a Ko-fi account where like people, again, they'll click on the link, send us stuff, like send us money, and that's like where we can put in like our fan art or any extra discussions or stuff, and people can go and see it.
Yeah, we could try that.
Yes. I'm just super excited. I wasn't sure if I was going overboard.
You're fine. I just need to like check it out, and yeah, we can go forward with it.
Okay, because I sent the work in progress to you through Facebook.
Okay, I'm gonna try to check that out later today or tomorrow, if that's okay.
Okay. Hot dang, I love conventions.
But thank you all for listening and joining us on our discussion today. And we will catch you next time, my babies.
Please do. And of course, we will never damn you all to hell, girl.
Never, never, never.
Never.
Ever, ever. But
ever.
Have a good day. Be safe. Be respectful to one another. And wear a mask.
May Maya Rudolph be with you.
And also with you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.